except for the part that I didn't do right. Cool. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? People want to talk about things, talk about themselves, talk about other people, talk about math. Yeah, hit me. Fuck yeah. Let me get close to the meteorological question. Holy shit, I'm plugged in. Hold on, let me unplug. I need to get fucking deep. Yeah, what do you want to do first? Songwriter question first? Well, an asteroid hits the Earth at 250,000 miles an hour. Just depends. So I have lyrics that live in a lyric book, there's about 1,000 of them actually, journals. And I have on my phone, there's like that notes app, tons of lyrics there. And then I have tons of melodies that live in my phone with hearts on them that indicate, every time I play one, it's like the worst. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, here's one with a heart, and then I play it, and it's just like me being like, So like, here's an example, here's a heart. I like this in the middle, it says. Oh, let's not play that one. Chorus approach, I love, heart. Let's see. I feel the hit coming. So anyway, I have a bunch of these with hearts on them, and then what I usually do is I sit down. So for example, tomorrow I'm gonna fly to San Diego for the show because I'm gonna stay tonight. The bus is gonna go, and like on the plane, I might just pull up all the heart songs in my notes app and just listen through, and I can just kind of chill out and space out on the plane, and then if something hits, and I go, oh my God, I remember that melody, then I can maybe revisit it, when I'm home and I'm in my studio, and I'll just kind of pull it up and I'll be like, oh yeah, how did that go? Oh, that was great. And the lyrics usually don't make any sense, as you can hear. So what I can try and do is start being like, well, what's the vibe of this thing? And I can kind of try and take lyrics from the lyric sheets and try and stuff them into melodies that exist. And it doesn't usually work one for one like that, but it can be kind of inspiring where I'll be like, oh, I really love, this lyric was whatever, I'll look, this is another terrible example, but let me look in my notes app thing for lyrics. For example, Jenny or the Bear. That was something I had a dream about the other night. And my wife said, it was either Jenny or the Bear. And I was like, that's a great song title. And so I might go fishing for Jenny and the Bear. That's one example of that's actually a pretty good one, thank God. I literally never ask, Daisy was a goth, black nails, black lips. So I don't know what that means. I get why people who it's just crazy. There's tons of different shit in here. I close my eyes, imagine straight lines. Don't let it break your heart. And so these things that feel, I'm afraid of inspiration. Most people, I think, like Bowie or Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, they just kind of go head first into inspiration when it shows up. I am not that person. It feels out of control to me. So I usually try and get a couple place markers so I remember what I'm doing and then try and go back to it. And I would say 7 out of 10 times I've killed it, because you really have to act on it when it shows up. But my fear is obviously bigger than my desire to succeed at songwriting. So sometimes songs come out all at once. sometimes parts of songs come out all at once. For example, Bill Murray, there's that "Let Me Be Your Man" line. I was writing with this kid Amir, and he's playing piano and writing this cool figure, and I started singing, and "Let Me Be Your Man" came out, and I was like, well, I definitely can't say that. I've never even thought that. I've never thought, like, in a romantic situation, like, let me be your man, you know, like, just, and it doesn't mean it's bad, it just was sort of on me. And then I called my buddy John Darnielle, who's my favorite writer, and I was like, is this a misogynistic lyric, let me be your man? He's like, nope, just cheesy. And so I was like, oh cool, I can do cheesy. So then I then began to kind of like craft, it was so on the nose, that lyric, that I felt like maybe the verses needed to be something a little more whimsical and a little bit more adventurous and a little bit more fun that makes that chorus worth saying. And so to answer your question in a very long, roundabout way, it comes in all different ways. Sometimes a song like Annie's Always Waiting for the Next One to Leave, for example, came out all at once. Sometimes a song like German Cars took 3 years to write the part after the part I started with. So like I had that, and we hated the way everybody talked about their father's money and their summer jobs. That part I was like, oh, that's a chorus, this is great. Well, it wasn't a chorus. It was a middle eight, so I smushed it into the middle eight, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Over here, and then I was like, maybe I need this, and I was looking for a chorus, and one day I was singing I Really Miss You West Coast JV, and all of a sudden I was like, ooh, that feels like a chorus, so I stuck that in as a chorus. So, and then we go to the studio, and Butch is getting ready to record, and he's like, let's do that German Car song. I'm like, great. He's like, the lyrics done? That's his big thing. I think he likes to have the day off. He's like, are the lyrics done? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, go fucking finish them. We gotta sing the song. So I went back to the hotel, and took me all night and 2.5 years to finish the second part of that. The part that said, you know, German Cars the parents bought, and in the fade and the glow of the summer light, you asked me if I ever felt the pressure to get everything right, to swim the mess, to stay the course, to be someone that they adored. And I thought that was the strongest part of the song, which was funny because it was the part that ended up happening right after the part that I thought was the strongest part of the song before. So it's funny how it works. Stephen King always says, you just gotta write every day and to keep the muscle strong so that when inspiration shows up, you know how to handle it and you don't like throw your back out. I like that idea, but I don't like to be, I don't like to be beholden to rituals or schedules or anything like that. So, long answer to a short question is it varies. My meatier question is going to be much better. Hit me. Oh, that's a great question. So he asked how I could record. We did a bunch of these live things when Ehud was here in January. I thought it'd be fun to do like a run of, let's record every song on the record, acoustic somewhere in San Francisco. And it was a great idea, except we didn't have anybody to help us, which was fucking stupid. So it was he and I setting up and driving and finding places and stopping and going, and then I had to play. So by like the 7th or 8th one, I was like, how about my backyard? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I like my backyard. There's a tree we could do there, under the tree. And so what we did was we recorded all the stuff live using an SM7, which is a microphone that has very good noise cancellation. It's because it's isolated. The capsule is in there, and it's, so a band like the Chili Peppers, it's used by a lot of people in the room with the band playing because it picks up none of the excess noise. And it's a mic, you can see, like if you ever see Funky Monks, the Chili Peppers making of Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Anthony's got his hand like on it, and you can move it and you can sing to it as if it were a real mic. And it has a great thing with my voice, which is it picks up the throat. And so luckily it's a mic that sounds good with my voice. And so we just did it like, there were a couple times, so it didn't work on the top of Bernal Hill as the sun went down, and there were a couple asshole kids talking But so we moved, and then the wind was so bad that not only was I losing my mind because of the wind, but it was picking up. So Baker Beach was it wasn't tame, but it was not, the top of Bernal Hill at 6 o'clock at night, where that mic definitely was kind of like challenged at that point. But I love the SM7. It's a great mic. Podcasters use it a lot. They use the version that can plug into your computer, but it's a pretty fantastic mic. I think Rage Against the Machine uses it. I think Zach sings into it when they used to make records because they would track live and it allowed them to do it without any hassle. Yeah, great. Look at us. I love it. Yeah, what's your question? What gives me hope? Jesus Christ. We went from the fucking microphone question to hope. What gives me hope? I think I have an unending amount of hope, and I don't know why, because I have no faith. I just think I have hope. So what gives me hope? Narcissism? No, I just think, historically, we're not fucked. We just never have been fucked. And when everyone says, I got a book club a couple years ago, and we were reading the Handmaid's Tale, and I didn't like that story. I thought that the story was cool, but I didn't like the writing. I wasn't wild about it. I don't know why. And I'm kind of a critical asshole when it comes to books. And I remember someone in the reading group said, we're on our way back there. And I was like, we're definitely not on our way back to the fucking Handmaid's Tale. I mean, that's a major fucking event. Like women are, and they're like, you, and then when Trump came into office and all those people were like, see? And I was like, I don't fucking see. It's totally different. Like, it sucks, but it sucks not like the fucking Handmaid's Tale. That's craziness. Well, we're on our way. And it's like, I don't fucking think so. So I think hope for me is like that historically, no matter how shitty it gets, it's way less shitty. I could be a Jewish person walking down the street, and even though they say they hate Jews, it's a lot better than it was in fucking Germany in the fucking, I don't know. I don't know where my hope comes from. It doesn't mean that I don't have my eyes open, and it doesn't mean that I don't think we're in a shitty situation, but hope just comes because we're resilient, fucking magical beings. I was in the shower the other day and water came up from the fucking ground and was warm and it cleaned me. And I was like, this fucking rules. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, yeah, things are a bummer, and it's like, and it sucks. And it especially sucks if you're my friend whose kid is trans and can't get their fucking, I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, I know that things are fucked, but they're not as fucked as everybody wants to pretend they are. And it's like, you just can't, so I don't know, I just think hope is like, it's in all of us. Look what we did this morning. We woke up, like, it's great, and it's sunny, and we fucking walked, and there was a black person kissing a white person in the middle of the street. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just, magic is everywhere all the time. And like, it's hard for human beings to do it because it like really sells a lot of widgets to have everybody hate each other and hate this fucking deal. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't suck, because there are things that are put in motion that fuck up perfectly good experiences that I don't know why people have to do that. And it doesn't mean there's not a few fucking assholes, but like fundamentally, I don't think people are shitty, and I hate people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think fundamentally human beings just want to be seen, and they just want to fucking be heard, and they just want to be loved. And like, everybody's got that feeling. Everybody. So I don't know, it just feels like hope comes from critical thought almost. Because if you can hold two diametrically opposed ideas, right, that like this time is not great to be an X or Y, but that doesn't mean that we're fucked. It's like, and so for me, I have no faith that things, but I have hope and faith are weird. Like, faith is like a belief in something else. I guess I do have a little bit of faith, but really for me, it's just, I have that, Some Mad Hope was the name of that record, because I just believe that we can do it. Like, and I guess maybe that's faith, but I see it as hope. I hope we can, well, what gives me hope? It's a good question. So I guess I do have faith, and then hope's an offshoot of that. God damn, that was a good question. But yeah, I just think like it's magical that we get to do this life and that human beings are beautiful and they're heartbreaking and I was in the elevator the other day in some fucking state where they can't cruise porn. And like these people got in the elevator and there was like 7 family members and they were all kind of nerdy and my kid is nerdy and my kid's on the spectrum and watching her navigate the world, and then I'm in there in this elevator with 7 sort of strangely awkward people and they're like, but they're a family, so they're talking and they're getting ready to do this ball game, and it was like it was incredible. Like it was like watching these people just want to exist. Everybody just wants to exist. And only a few of them want to stomp out other people's right to exist, and so we have to fucking say no to that. But those people are fucking broken because they were born into a family that didn't teach them the right fucking values. So like, what are we supposed to do? Hate those people forever because they're born without the same thing that we think is the thing? It's like, I don't know. So anyway, that's a fucking long answer to a really intense question. But yeah, I just think hope comes from I also refuse to give up. I've just never given up. And it doesn't mean I haven't thought about it all the time, but I just don't give up because I'm anxious and I am scared of everything. And so therefore I refuse to stop. Because why would I let that run my life? Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that went deep. You guys are in the same row almost too. You went heavy on me. All right, let's do, yes.
Okay, so Huey Lewis famously said the heart of rock and roll is still beating.
Yeah.
Is there going to be another Aerosmith? Is there going to be another
Oh, that's a great question.
Another Metallica? What's coming? Is there going to be more rock and roll?
Dude, this is a great question. First of all, what's your thought on that?
It's like I watched, like, do you know the Struts?
Of course.
Great band.
Yeah.
And they should be as big as Queen is nowadays.
Yeah, because they're not as good as Queen. But I know what you're saying, totally. Murdering, yeah, Luke is a star, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think pop has taken over and it forces all forward. So all you can do.
Yeah.
Bands can't sell records out of the band anymore.
Right.
I mean, have you seen those kids that they bought an ice cream truck and are doing shows in an ice cream truck in LA?
No, that sounds great.
Yeah, they get like 200 people show up and they hold these massive mosh pits, and the cops come and break them up. And it's a great job.
And then, yeah.
But they're not making money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the infrastructure for a band like Aerosmith doesn't exist anymore. So it doesn't mean that, and also music doesn't matter to people. This is my theory. Like, no, it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter to you guys. It means that most human beings want either music to represent something within a nostalgia thing for them that reminds them of something about themselves, which isn't really music, that's nostalgia, or they want something that they can identify with as an idea that somehow relates to them in a way that fundamentally aligns with who they are. And doesn't mean that people aren't into music, but it's like where it was before when you could love music for what it is and a great song could win. Right now we're at a place where fame has won. I thought that if we got rid of the gatekeepers in the music industry that music would win. And what happened was the gatekeepers kind of propped up music. Like I had no idea. Because they never helped me. But like, so this is a great theory actually, and again, I could be wrong, but this is just my own theory. It's like, the way that it works now is a band like Aerosmith doesn't have time to incubate. A band like Aerosmith wouldn't have time because they would be seen immediately. There's no such thing as a scene that happens like in Boston because everything's global, so nothing happens in a vacuum. And there's not an infrastructure of money that people want to spend on developing artists. And so you wouldn't get money put into Aerosmith to put out 3 records before Rocks or 4 records before Rocks or whatever. You know, like when Dream On was of course a hit, but it was a hit later on a record that was, and so it's like, I just think we're living in a time where people really want, they don't want to explore, they want to be comforted. and comfort is a different thing than like, so rock and roll has run its course because it was kind of like it's been done, is it really gonna be done better than AC/DC Back in Black? Like, but that doesn't mean that when Billie Eilish puts out her first record, that's not as rock and roll to me as something else. It's just not rock and roll in the sense of like boom, 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 but like it was punk and it was fucking wild and it was revolutionary and it felt really amazing. So I feel like there is still ground being broken in music and it's really exciting, but it's not, the currency, it's not as important to people as going to see a band that they love their record that came out 20 years ago and they want to see it again and relive it, or, you know, and so as somebody who puts a lot of effort into putting out new music, I do it because I love it, but I think that like most people, you know, but most people, you guys are a certain strain of humans, but like most people aren't poring over my new record and they're not like, isn't this fucking great? Like, God, this is great, because things move fast and like the most rock and roll thing going on is like, look at politics. That's so much more rock and roll than rock and roll. Like, these are people doing really shitty things, like over and over again. And it's like anything we could do, anything that Marilyn Manson is disgusting, right? Like, but anything that he, back in the day before he was, you know, convicted sex offender, like, but like when he was just a really weird person who would come out, or Madonna put out the sex book, it's like all that stuff feels really quaint. To like what we're dealing with now, like on a global level, where people are like tanking the stock market and they're like, fuck you, and they're like, ba-boom, and like, suck this, and it's like, grab him by the pussy, like what? Like, you know what I mean? That's like, that is significantly more rock and roll than the Rolling Stones have ever been in their lives. And so as disgusting as it is, I feel like there's just too much competition for everybody. We're all taxed all the time. Everybody's bucket's full, everybody's got a million things coming at them. And so like before you could get like, there was bandwidth to have something come in and marinate, and then the radio could play it and you could feel it, and the radio was terrible, but again, like if I'd known at the time that it was so important to the fundamentals of the job, I would have been like, okay, let's not kill the radio right away. You know, but it's like, it's wild, like it used to be interesting and fun, and it is not. But then you see Kendrick Lamar on the Super Bowl and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, it was really fucking good. Like, it was really advanced. Like, he knew how to play the game and he was doing it artistically, which is like so fun. So like, it's there, I just think it shows up in different places than it did before in like dudes with guitars, and I miss it a lot. You know, like, so yeah, Jesus, you guys, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Let me play another song. But yeah, so I don't know, I think a band like the Struts, I think the problem with the Struts is that they're like carbon copies of great shit that we loved. You know what I mean? Like, and it's gotta be really punky to work. It's gotta be like, it's gotta fucking make the, you know, the hair on your neck stand up. And we can't get a group decision. We can't get anybody to all agree. So we're never gonna have a band like Aerosmith again, because you could put them on the cover of Rolling Stone and have MTV play the shit out of them and have radio play the shit out of them, and all of a sudden everyone that didn't know knew, and it was like, oh, Aerosmith. And so we liked them because of this, they liked them because of this. All of a sudden they were the biggest thing in the world. It's like that infrastructure's gone, and that is definitely not coming back, sadly. Or not sadly, you know, now you can make a record for $20, whereas before you had to make it for like $800,000. So it's like it works, but just, so anyway.